I'm not sure if we're live. I think we're live. I don't have any little notifications. I usually have a little red box there, but I'm going to just carry on, excuse me, as if we are live. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It is the 19th of September. Probably from the background you see me in, you will know that I am home, which is great and awful all at the same time because I had to leave my daughter and my grandson behind. But we have had, excuse me, we have had a brilliant summer. And so, I shall be going back there for Christmas time. Anyway, here we are. And before we begin the show, first of all, of course, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is, as always, standing to my right side. And I'd like to say good morning to Chris, wherever you are. And I'd like to say good morning to all of you out there who have joined or are joining us today. So, yesterday, my grandson had an audition and he got the highest marks. Nobody else got a 10, Mosey, he said. Although maybe they did, but I don't think so. And he's so humble in such a lovely way. But of course, he did one more piano recital, and he is brilliant, if I do say so myself. His teacher refers to him as a prodigy, which we really think he is. He blows your mind when you're listening to him playing. He just blows your mind. He played a piece for me the other day, and the halfway through, tears were streaming down my face because he plays with such feeling, such emotion, and he's, his fingers go unerringly across the keyboard. It's just a joy to listen to him. Excuse me. So yesterday he said to me when I got home, called, he said, did anything happen on the plane, Mosey? And I don't know if you all will remember, but when I was flying to New York, I had that incredible experience, which I told you all about, where I actually, talking to a hostess, I was able to, excuse me, connect with her husband and also at some point glimpsed Jesus, which was quite stunning. And of course now Reese thinks that, okay, well, it happened. So what else has happened on the plane? He thinks that every time I go on a plane, I'm going to have this great experience. It was a good experience on the plane in that I did not get dizzy. I managed to do the journey. I was fine, not too much in the way of coughing, which was great. And so all in all, it was a really good journey home. But of course, I arrived home and my friend Mary Lou is here and it's lovely to be home. And then all of a sudden you're thinking about your loved ones. I was thinking about Reese. I was thinking about Samantha. And I know Samantha misses me tremendously. However, I know she also likes her own space. And in a way, that's how I feel. I miss them. But it is nice to be home. I got into my nice big shower this morning. Oh, it was just heaven, heaven, heaven. So anyway, so nothing untoward happened on the plane. I've got no stories for you. Have I? I'm thinking. No stories about my journey. Nothing untoward happened. Everybody, I like to fly Delta because when I do internal flights, because everybody on Delta is great. People are really lovely. They do take care of you. And so other than being taken care of, other than, one or two little hiccups you always get with travel, the plane was late and so on. And I'd gotten there early anyway. Well, I always like to get there early. But other than that, it was a very uneventful trip. And here I am in my own home with my own stuff around me, missing my daughter and my grandson like crazy. But, it is what it is. So I'm looking forward to doing the show. I'm looking forward to hearing from you all. I want to know what you've all been doing since we last met on the show. I want to know, from you, you know, what's been going on with all of you. We're always talking about what's going on with me, but maybe it's not going to be so much questions as, although we love questions, but maybe it's also going to be you telling me what you've been up to. Has anything exciting happened to any of you in the last week or so? So, Chris, let's go over to the chat room.
All right. Well, most everybody is saying their good mornings and hellos and even chatting amongst themselves. Judith is here from Georgia. Gary's from New York. Hamale's here from Colombo. Wanda's from Montana. Who else do we have here? Wayne is on. Barb is on. Lorraine, Dean, Janet. So they're all just saying their good mornings at the moment. But Gary did say,
Yes, Gary.
in a New York state of mind here, leaves are turning, woods all split and stacked, ready for whatever is coming.
And you know that whatever is coming is snow and cold and freezing, but I know I know, Gary, you love it. I do have a question for you, Gary. See, I have a question for Gary. I got this text which says five. What did it say? You beat me, or so? I have no idea what you're talking about. So if you could actually, somehow let me know. What do you mean? What are you talking about? What's going on? Five what? So, if you could let me know that, that would be great. Okay, Chris. All right. Now, you all know, I just have to remind you, as soon as the questions stop or the comments stop, I stop. So, this is your incentive to keep going and to keep talking to the guys.
So Dean says my bedside table fell apart last night with a monumental crash.
Oh.
So I was late this morning as I was fixing it. Did you get my anniversary letter?
Oh. So for those of you who don't know, Dean is one of my oldest, not talking age necessarily here, but one of my oldest clients. And every year Dean sends me a letter on the anniversary of the time that we spoke. I'm not sure if you've missed a couple of anniversaries, or maybe I've just missed the letters on, but usually every year for the last 20 something, 25, dare I say, years. Dean going to have to correct me and let me know. But every year I receive an anniversary letter where Dean reminds me, probably reminding yourself as well, Dean, of that fateful day. Maybe Dean, in the chat room, you'd like to say briefly what happened on that fateful day, or why was it a fateful day for you? I think that, as a spiritual medium, I get people calling me for all kinds of reasons. For the loss of a child, for the loss of a mother, father, or loss of a family member or a friend. I get people wanting to know about their life and their future, and people want to know, if they're in a situation, are they going to get out of it, or is it going to get better? For lots and lots of different reasons, people call and have a consultation with me. And Dean, not going to tell your private stuff by any means, but suffice it to say that Dean was in a situation that he probably, did definitely need help and guidance with, which I don't think I'll be out of turn, Dean, but if I am, please don't be afraid to say on the chat. I think that our consultation changed his life. I think it was like a whole 180 degree spin around, and for the better, I think. And rather than spending a life of unhappiness, bitterness, rather than spending a life of anger and resentment and regret, Dean, now I think it's safe to say, I hope I'm not talking out of turn again, Dean, but you did bring it up. So Dean has, I think, please confirm this for me, Dean, a fabulous life, a fabulous outlook, an amazingly fabulous attitude. You know, sometimes when I talk to people, where you know, when I'm counselling them about their lives or their attitude, or you know what they perhaps might try differently than they have tried. Very often, you never know. As a medium, I never know. You know, I talk to them, they're here in front of me, and then they're gone, and then they live their own lives, and you never know how affected they might be, or how you know, how inspired they might have been, or otherwise, or uninspired by what we have to tell them. So Dean's letter every year for the last however many years it is, a long time, reminding me and reminding himself, you know, I think probably Dean, you know, puts it down to how fabulous and amazing and so on and so forth his consultation might have been. But the truth of the matter is that you can tell people the most amazing things. You can inspire them. You can really, you know, make them sort of, you know, literally turn around and think differently. But will it last? And the work basically has everything to do with the person, the recipient of that inspiration, or the recipient of that information that they're getting. Do they take note, and do they make it, you know, do they allow it to change them? Do they, you know, do they work at it, or do they just at some point shrug their shoulders? I have a prime example. I had a man who his wife dragged me to see him to one of our healing centres in England, because he had been diagnosed with stomach cancer, and you know, he was terrified. He didn't really want to see me. Didn't know what I could do for him. But suffice it to say, he became one of my most grateful patients. He was amazing. I, you know, saw him many times. I went to the hospital when he had his surgery. They allowed me into the recovery. The doctors and nurses allowed me into the recovery room with him, because he had expressly asked if I would be there for him, and they allowed this. And we're going back many years when, you know, these things didn't happen, but they allowed me into the recovery room with him. And, you know, he was let's say he was a changed man. And that lasted for a year, and then he had a checkup, and the cancer was gone, and then another year went by, and he was still coming to the healing centre. He was doing great. Except that all of a sudden now he was eating all the wrong foods. He was eating greasy fried foods, which he'd been told he shouldn't eat. He, you know, he was, okay, I'm cured now, I'm fine now, so let's go back to the way it was. So even though he was inspired for a short while to pay attention to himself and to his body, and he had this major scare, it really, at the end of the day, he just reverted back, and consequently ended up with heart failure, heart issues, and really struggling with his health, all thanks to the fact that he was eating really, really fatty foods, pastries, meats he shouldn't have been eating, you name it. He was, you know, the fatter the food, the better he would eat it. He was on a mission of destruction. But because he had managed to beat the cancer, he felt in a strange way that he was invincible. So we never quite know, as mediums, we never quite know, you know, what you're going to do with the information we give you, how is it going to make a difference or not. But every year, Dean has sent me this letter, and every year tells the story of how, yes, he is still inspired. Yes, he did, you know, have this epiphany, if you like. Yes, and it has made all the difference in his life, and he is now, I think it's safe to say, being one of the happiest people I know. So, yes, the answer is long way around it. Yes, thank you. I did get the letter. I thought I'd replied to you, but maybe I didn't. But anyway, so yes, and thank you for that. And thank you for the reminder. It took me back quite a way. It took me back to the first time I spoke to you, and the difference between who you were then and who and how you are now. And I'm so thrilled for you to have been able to sort of, let's say, prod you a little bit. You're the one, though, who has done all the work. So you should be really, really proud of yourself. Chris.
Dean did respond saying my email was about my consultation and giving you permission to tell about any of it.
Okay. Well, I think I just did tell some of it. Okay. All right. So, okay. Keep going, Chris.
All right. Gary had responded to answer your question. He said, I said 3 stitches. You said 5. You win.
I think that means you thought you had 3 and I said you had 5. And am I right again? I want to hear you say it, Gary. Am I right again? All right. Keep going, Chris.
Rhonda says she's been working on getting organized. That's what she's been up to.
Oh, gosh. Good luck with that.
Leslie says it was 39 degrees here in Apache County, Arizona this morning.
Oh, Apache County. I love it. I love it. I love it. That just reminded me how much I have missed going to, the Superstition Mountains. How I have really missed the incredible and stark beauty of Arizona, and particularly Phoenix. Although Phoenix itself is sort of like a bowl, it's shaped like a bowl, which collects all of the horrible, nasty stuff that we breathe in, the exhaust fumes or what have you. Phoenix itself is sort of probably, supposedly, if you think I'm wrong, let me know. I'd love to be able to say differently. But I do believe at one point it was one of the most polluted areas in the country. But yet come out of Phoenix and onto the edge of Phoenix and, all of those surrounding areas, incredible and stark beauty. Like if you've never experienced it, you really need to experience it. It's an amazing place. I went the first time I went with a friend of mine. We rented it wasn't actually the first time, but it was the first time I'd gone on my own with a friend who'd never been before. We rented a convertible, what was it? A fabulous convertible, and we drove all over the place. We got really filthy. It's very dusty. We got really filthy and so on, and we drove, believe it or not, for those of you who know the area, you probably won't believe when I tell you that we drove the Apache Trail in this in this convertible. We drove down into Apache Lake, which is like that, and then you turn a corner and then it's like that down to Apache Lake. And my friend was terrified that we wouldn't get back up, but we did. It is an amazing country. At the time I went back there to visit. Okay, Chris.
All right. Barbara's saying, hello, Rosemary. I continue to struggle with severe anxiety issues. Can those in spirit offer me any help? Any advice from my husband, Don, who always made me feel safe? Please send healing. Thank you always.
Well, Barbara, I think that part of your issue is that you feel that, you don't have your partner there with you. And as you said, he always made you feel safe. And, since he's been gone, that anxiety is built within you, because we all know what it's like to be alone. Some of us know much more and on a much deeper level than others what it's like to be on your own and to have to make decisions by yourself and to not have anyone to talk it through with. And my heart goes out to you, Barbara. But having said that, young lady, I can tell you, you know this, that your husband is with you. You know that. But I think that, we get into this mindset if we're not careful, that, I've got such anxiety. And if you keep saying I've got such anxiety, then that's what you're going to have. You're going to have anxiety. And the more you say it or the more you worry about it, the more it perpetuates the anxiety. So I think that, yes, I think that's what, this is right. I'll have to have Chris remind me of this. But I think what we're going to do is, at some point over the next few weeks, because we're going to be starting doing our tutorials, and we're also going to be starting doing some healing sessions. And I think, Barbara, that it would be great, because I think so many of us do suffer from anxiety. We do suffer and we do worry. There are so many horrible things that are going on in this world of ours today. And there's a temptation for us to look at the negative and forget about the positive. So I think that what we'll do is, I'm going to do a program, especially for you, Barbara. We'll do a session on what we can do, the exercises that we can do to alleviate anxiety. We're going to be perhaps talking about what creates anxiety and how our brain doesn't seem to be able to want to let go of it and, holds on to it and holds on to it. I mean, it's been a rough few years. We've had COVID. People have been so scared. People have been so worried about these things. We've had so many losses. We've had all of the ugliness of the politicians. Isn't it ugly? Aren't they ugly, these people? Really, really seriously ugly people. So we've had all of that to deal with. So every time we turn on the news or every time we see a newspaper, there's ugliness all around us, which also exacerbates any of the anxieties and any of the worries and the fears that we have. So I think we shall have a session. I will give you plenty of warning. Go to the website, you'll see what we're going to be doing. And we'll have a session where we'll deal with anxiety, and I'll give you some exercises and a few tips. In the meantime, Barbara, stop it. It's easy to say, isn't it? People used to ask me all the time, still occasionally do, well, how did you get over your mother? How did you manage to overcome the issues with your mother? And I sort of look at people and think, well, you've got two choices. You do or you don't. There's no magic remedy. You decide in your mind. Your mind is the most powerful thing. Thoughts are the most powerful things you own. And if those thoughts are negative, you will draw negativity to you like, bees to honey. If your attitude and your mind and your thoughts are positive, you will bring positivity to you. Now, it's hard work. You've got to, every time you feel yourself going down the negative road, you've got to stop yourself. And, we can give you tools to enable you to do that. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, it's like I said with Dean, we can give you advice, we can give you help, we can give you lessons, we can teach you how to deal with things. But if you're not going to use them, then, there's nothing I can do about it. So we will do that for you, Barbara, and keep watching, keep listening, and we'll tell you when that session is going to be. Chris.
All right. The next one is from Sova. Good morning. It's afternoon here. Can you please ask Gray Eagle who is bringing the unexplained bangs to our home, and we are not frightened by them?
Oh, I like that you're not frightened by them. That's great. Well, this is an hour-long show. And in order to get into this, I think we need more time. But I think, it's possible that your loved ones in the spirit world are just, tapping away there, trying to let you know that they're around. My suggestion is that you give them 5 to 10 minutes of every day, sit down quietly in a place where there are no distractions, and just sit and talk to them and say hi. And, not sure who you are. Um, Actually, I think from what Gregor tells me, you might have an inkling of what's going on. Maybe you just don't trust your own thoughts and feelings quite, but I suspect you have an inkling of what's going on. But what you need to do is just spend 5 or 10 minutes of every day. Hi, how are you? Glad you're here. Love to sit and talk to you, but I'm here for you. And then you have to be quiet, and then you have to listen. The difficulty is being quiet, and I mean quiet in your mind as well as verbally. You have to listen, you have to be attentive, and you have to listen to the thoughts and the feelings and the sounds. We sing the song, listen with your eyes, and and sing everything you see. And you have eyes. We all of us have eyes that go beyond seeing just this material world of ours. So use those eyes, use your 5 senses, pay attention. I'm glad you're not scared by it. I don't think it's a scary thing at all, but I think someone in the spirit world is trying to get your attention for whatever reason. It could be maybe just to tell you that they love you, or to let you know that they're around. But just spend 5 to 10 minutes every day, and and see what happens then. Chris.
All right, the next one is from Jamie, one of your former students. Hello, Rosemary. Many great memories taking your courses in the past.
Good morning, Jamie.
All right, then we have Wanda.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh, okay. Well,
you asked what people were doing. She's remembering your courses in the past.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you so much. Yeah, we did have some great times. Yes, goodness me. All of those years and years and years and years teaching my students. And yeah, we did have some amazing experiences. Chris.
All right, the next one's from Wanda. My daughters and I have registered for your event in November and will be there from Montana and Colorado. Cannot wait to see you in person.
Well, I hope you can't wait to spend some time with me either after that show or the next morning, because we're going to be doing something, even if it's walking on the beach, and I'm going to give, the people who are, if you're registered, you've got to be registered for my newsletter. So if you're not, get registered. But we're going to be having, I'm there. Any questions? Any curiosities, anything at all, we're going to spend some time, with, by the way, at no charge. I'm not going to charge for this. We're just going to hang out. We're just going to be hanging out. So if you want to hang out with me, it will either be after the show itself or the next day, or it might be both. We're not quite sure yet what's going on, but we shall be hanging out. So, we'd love to have you. So I hope, keep my fingers crossed, you're not flying straight back afterwards. Chris.
The next is from Janet. My lot, Thomas and Annie. Thomas has a job and Annie has a week to go, and she's finishing her master's.
Oh, good.
So it's calm in the house. Hold this week, still working on talking to the groom, though. So there must be a marriage in there somewhere.
Maybe. All right. Well, thank you for that. Keep going. I'm loving this.
Wookie Bear says, a while ago, I went to visit my daughter, who lives in a small town. We went downtown to go to a store. We grabbed a coffee and began walking up the street to another store. No one was on the street. As we were walking, I heard several footsteps behind me and talking. I moved over on the sidewalk to let them pass, and as I did, a woman passed me. She had brown hair, white shirt, and dark slacks, and she just vanished. I turned to look behind me, and I saw no one else. My daughter saw nothing, and she didn't hear anything either. Why did I experience this and not her?
Why not? Why not? You were just in that space, in that moment. You know, this happens a lot, and uh, we have to. It's sort of like when I tell people during my consultations, I need to hear your voice. So if you understand me, say yes. You don't understand me, say no. And there's this with sound, especially. There's this sort of. It's almost like an ability to get on the same wavelength, to get, to sort of connect. Again, we're going to be doing more of this, talking more of this stuff in the tutorials. I'm really looking forward to them. And if you, any of you listening, would like to know more about a particular sort of area of my subject, all you have to do is say, to write in and say, I'd love to know more, learn more about this or this or this, and we'll endeavor to show you. But sound and connection, sometimes, I mean, I have a friend who is a very fine healer. Mediumship, hit and miss. Sometimes he would get it and it would be so precise, and then nothing and nothing and nothing. And there's no quite rhyme and reason for it, except that in that one specific moment, you are connecting with whoever it is who's also in that same space, in that same moment, in that same energy, and connecting. Uh, so I think this is don't worry yourself with why, just accept it and be joyful. Boy, oh boy, what a great experience. Chris.
Judith says, Rosemary, I've been getting knockings and crackle and various sounds around the house. The knocking sounds like any human knock would. All these sounds catch my attention as they intend. Do you feel this is my family or something else?
Oh no, I think it's your I think that definitely your loved ones, especially with what's going on with you right now, Judith. I mean, you need help, you need support, you need your loved ones in the spirit world around you. And because you are so sensitive and you're able to, and you're involved in this and you trust this and you listen to them, why wouldn't they do everything in their power to let you know that you're not, are you listening to me? You're not alone. Chris.
The next is from Kat. Am I wasting my time with Kaz? Does he want to be with me or he has something else?
Well, Kat, to ask that question, you must be having your own doubts and your own concerns and your own worries. And what I'm going to tell you, if we had more time, I would be describing this more, but we don't. But I'm going to tell you, my darling, if you're asking me this question, you have your own doubts, you have your own concerns. And the best advice that I can give you is to listen to your instincts. Do not be overwhelmed or overtaken by the need to love or the need to be loved, which I think is what's happening here. I think you have a great desire to be loved, and I know where that desire comes from. And most of us have that desire to be loved, but don't let it blind you to what is really going on, because I understand the need to be loved. I need to be loved. Fortunately, I have my daughter and my grandson who love me, but the need to be loved can sometimes cloud us. It can cloud our vision, it can cloud our thoughts, and we start to make excuses for people, or we start to put up with things that we wouldn't normally put up with, or we start to, become less than who we are to accommodate that person in our lives. We want to accommodate them, we want it to work out, and so we accept less. And Kat, darling, you should never accept less. You are worth far, far more. be guided by your instincts, not by your needs or your wants or your desires. Take a moment, sit quietly. What is it that you want? Do you want a half a relationship? Do you want a relationship only when somebody else is there willing to give it? Do you want a relationship that is, just a half-hearted thing, or do you want something that is full and enriching? I'd go for the latter personally, and you will get that once you start making compromises for the people who don't give you all of themselves. I don't think I could put it clearer, could I? Chris?
All right, the next is from Lorraine. She's going to give you an update here on what's happening in her life.
Hi, Lorraine.
So happy to report my almost 15-year-old Shih Tzu is doing better.
Oh, good.
Change in pain meds, and she seems more of her old self. We had to cancel our flight to New York for my sister's 75th dinner because my puppy dog was doing poorly at the time. The sister was disappointed, as we were, but she seemed, when we did our FaceTime the next day, to have an attitude with me, saying, "What can I say?" After I explained to her the situation, anyway, I felt very bad as it was, but her insensitive response threw me back. She has a habit of that when she's disappointed. Anyway, I got over it and things are okay now. Also, I had dental work prepped for 2 crowns. Ouch. Glad that part is over with. Anyway, other than that, I'm thankful for all the blessings I have, and now I'm enjoying you.
Well, I am thrilled with what you were telling me. I'm so pleased that your puppy is doing better. Your sister, I'm sure she's a lovely person, but I think that she is capable, and it obviously works, of making people feel guilty when they don't do what she wants them to do. And I am so happy that you have realized that, because I know that you have, and that you've moved on. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for for your decisions. It's sad when people can't understand, or they are unwilling to see somebody's reasons, and it happens a lot. But I'm glad that you didn't buy into the guilt trip that she tried to lay on you. I think it's great, and I hope you're enjoying me, because I am really enjoying you. And thank you so much for letting us know about the puppy, because that is the most important thing. Yes, and ouch to the crowns. Thank you, Chris.
All right, this is from Jen. Jen saying, I hope you're feeling better now. And then she says, my friend I mentioned to you a few weeks ago, who passed away, who has been my rock, her little fur baby doggy became unwell and had emergency surgery, went through so much before having to be put to sleep. Can you please tell me anything so I now know they are together and they are okay?
You don't need me to tell you. You know that they are together. Grey Eagle has his hopes. Here we go. Grey Eagle has his hand on my shoulder, so I'm going to tell you what he is saying. They are together. She has been with you recently and seen the tears. I'm hoping you're understanding this message, because I don't. I'm only relaying to you what Grail is telling me. This is coming from your friend. She has seen the tears. Apparently, Gregor tells me she said she shed many tears, good happy tears, when they were together again, when her best friend was with her together again, her puppy. She watches over you, so please don't worry about them, and just pay attention. listen carefully. I'm going to be teaching you all in the tutorials how to listen and what you need to do in order for you to connect stronger, better, clearer with your loved ones in the spirit world. So get ready for that. Chris.
All right. The next, Judith responded saying, I'm glad to hear about the class on anxiety. I'll sign up. And Wanda said, oh, goodness, I am so excited. Yes, we are registered for all. So that's the November 19th event.
Great.
Jen says, I wish I could be there, but it's a bit far for me from the UK. It sounds amazing and wonderful to spend some time afterwards.
It's not that far, you know. It's a 7-hour trip. Anyway, I do get it. It's also an expensive trip, you know. Not everybody can afford to be flying around the world. But what better moment to do it, right? I mean, anyway, but we shall maybe be filming it, so some of you will be able to view that afterwards. But I know that we're going to have a great time on the 19th. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be dancing a jig. I'm going to be going through the audience. We're going to just be having so much fun. We're going to have lots of laughter. I warn you now. I know. Many years ago, I was in Canada, and there were several thousand people in the audience, and there was one lady who bought a whole stack of toilet rolls. She said, forget the tissue boxes, I'm bringing toilet rolls. And she was handing out toilet rolls to other people because, you know, people were crying, didn't have tissues, so on and so forth. Lots and lots of tears, right? However, lots and lots of fun. We made a lot of fun out of those toilet rolls. And when you see me and we're live in person, we laugh, hopefully, as much as we cry. Later, I had a letter from a lady who had been at the event, and she said to me, she wrote in the letter, how could you laugh so freely? How could you find joy in the fact that people were devastated, they'd lost their parents, they'd lost their children? How could you laugh? I was so upset because you were laughing so much and the audience was laughing so much. Did they not realize the seriousness of this situation? And I read the letter and I felt so sad for this lady, because she obviously has no clue that the more pain you are going through, the more you need the laughter. We're not laughing at the pain. We're not laughing at the tragedy. We're looking for and finding the joy in being able to connect with the spirit world. We're looking at and having fun with people from the spirit world who also want to have fun, have jokes to tell, have really incredible and inspiring messages to give, but also messages of love and hope and laughter. And we know, if we think about it, we all know that laughter is the one thing that is able to lighten us, to lift us, to help us when we're in our deepest, darkest times. Being able to laugh tells us that there is hope there too. It might not be flickering very strongly, we might not be able to see it too clearly, but laughter is the hope that we have within us. And laughter is the thing that is the cure, the help, the balm, the thing that helps to find us and to give us peace. Laughter is the thing that teaches us, absolutely teaches us. If we can laugh, we're not, even if it's half-heartedly, even if it's only a little chuckle, if we can laugh, if we can turn our lips up somewhat in some small way, that we are not lost to the darkness, that there is light and joy for us also. And that's what we'll be doing. We'll be laughing, we'll be crying, we'll be having fun. I won't be crying. You never see me cry. not when anybody's around to see. Anyway, I say my crying for when nobody's looking, because my job is not to share and shed tears with you all. My job is to smile at you, to give you joy, and to help you to understand that your loved ones in the spirit world are definitely around us. And if you choose to come, and if you choose to join with me wherever it is we're going to be, we will be laughing. Just be prepared. I'm not going on a misery tour. We will be laughing, we'll be joyful, and we'll be having fun. Chris.
All right. The next one's from Violet, who wants to share some good news.
Hi, Violet.
It's nice to be able to share some happy news for a change. I'm now a great aunt as we welcome baby Luca, who was born an hour ago.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't know I was a good aunt, let alone a great one.
Oh, fabulous. Violet, that's fantastic. I love the name Luca too. That's really, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, keep going.
All right. We've got three
But
responses.
sorry, but as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, Violet, I'm thinking, would this be your brother's grandchild? I think. You can confirm that for me. Or it could be another part of the family, but that would be wonderful. Chris, keep going.
All right. These are three responses. So, first from Barbara. Hello again. This might be a silly question, but here it is. When I talk to Dawn in spirit, is it best to speak out loud, or can he hear me in my thoughts? Is there a best way to communicate?
Well, the second question first, is there a best way to communicate? We'll talk more about that during the tutorials. I mentioned earlier on, thoughts are the most powerful possessions. Our thoughts, that tiny pulse of energy, each thought is a tiny pulse of energy which goes out into the universe. And so if you're worrying or doubting that they can't hear your thoughts, when I first realized, I've mentioned this before, when I first realized how much the spirit world could see and hear, I started using bubble bath in my bath water. That is a true story. I don't bother anymore because I realized that who could care less? They couldn't care less about what I looked like. It was just my embarrassment thinking of all that they could see and all that they could hear. But then I also became very, very aware of my thoughts. Knowing that they could hear my thoughts can be a bit scary because, we can have thoughts that are maybe not so nice about somebody. We can have thoughts that are mean. We can have thoughts that are negative. And yes, all of those thoughts are absorbed by the universe. All of those thoughts are absorbed by our loved ones in the spirit world who, sometimes I'm sure are quite sad for us that we're thinking these awful things instead of thinking nice thoughts instead. But as far as the spirit world is concerned, they can hear your thoughts just as clearly, if not more so, than your verbal responses or your verbal questions. They can hear your thoughts easily as clearly.
All right. Sova said, thank you so much. Glad you mentioned the eyes and watching what's going on around us. We have also had flickering lights. Also, I do feel I know who this is and have a sense of why they are trying to get our attention. And I've kindly thanked them.
Of course you know. I told you, Trust yourself. So many of us, we know these things, we see these things, we experience these things, but we don't trust ourselves. And that's the basis of it. And these tutorials are going to be designed so that you don't have those doubts and fears and worries and concerns as to, are you going mad, or is this your imagination, or whatever. We're going to address all of those things so that you can all learn to trust yourselves more and to be more involved and in tune, that you can all raise your level of consciousness to that point where you are connecting with your loved ones in the spirit world. and you know what it is that they want with you, for you, and about you. Chris.
All right. Kathy says, I've been diagnosed with breast cancer. Should I consider natural interventions or only traditional treatment?
Okay. Well, I don't know the situation fully. I'm listening to Grey Eagle. That was, yeah. Sorry, we're having a conversation here. I think both are going to be extremely helpful to you. Please do not dismiss the medical profession. If it were not for the medical profession, I would have died in my 20s, 20 actually. Um, I certainly wouldn't be alive and healthy today if it were not for the medical profession. They have a lot to teach us, they have a lot to give us, and we have some fabulous doctors and nurses out there. I would get a second opinion on the treatments because there are different medical treatments, and some doctors have one method, other doctors have another method. So you might want to check that out. But along with that, complementing that, you should absolutely look at the natural remedies and the natural, you know, things that you can do to help you in this process. If you would like to have any more help from me on this score, please let us know. You know, I don't know your situation, but I know there are a lot of people listening who would definitely not go the medical route, definitely. Um, and I know that there are lots of people out there who would, you know, absolutely not consider anything other than going the medical route. I think there is a fabulous way to meld both things, to use both things to our advantage. So please be aware of that and remember to be your own advocate. If a doctor suggests something you don't like it, or you're uncomfortable with it, or you're not certain about it, speak up. Get a second opinion. Just because a doctor wears a white coat doesn't mean he knows everything. But also, there are lots of natural remedies out there. There are lots of people who will absolutely suggest, you know, only going the natural course. These also are people who they don't know necessarily. Each person is an individual, and each person should be treated as an individual, whether you go the medical way or whether you go the natural way. Each person is an individual. So question what you're being told. Don't be afraid to get a second opinion. Find your voice. Talk to your doctor. He is a doctor. He wears a white coat, but he's also he's also fallible. He's not infallible. Talk to him. Have a conversation. Let him know that you're an intelligent person and that you know you want the up and up on everything. The good news is that, you know, at one point when cancer was diagnosed, um, you know, it was a death knell. They called it the big C. It was a terrifying thing, and everybody was scared of it. The good thing is that it is treatable. It really is treatable. And with the right doctors and with the right help and with the right natural therapies, with all of that combined, it can be treated. And I feel that your prognosis is a good one. Please let me know. Continue to let us know how you're doing, my darling, and we're going to be sending healing to you. Chris.
Jamie's asking if you, let's see, the nephew, Jonathan, who passed away in December, and sister, Chris, who passed July 4th, are they together? Are they at peace? She feels they are at peace, but wants reassurance.
Well, all you want is confirmation, and I'm going to give it to you. So, yes and yes. Trust your instincts, Jamie. Trust who you are. Trust what you know. Absolutely. Gregor is actually saying to me, without a doubt, they are together. So there is your confirmation, my darling. Chris.
Isabella says, my dad died last week. I feel he still has many things to say to me. there's no follow-up to that.
Okay, Isabella, I'm sure that your dad has a lot to say to you. The one thing that you can do in order to sort of, uh, have that connection with him is to you find a good medium. Not necessarily me. You can go, just make sure that the person you go to is real, because we know that unfortunately the majority are not, but then there are those who are great. So my advice would be for you to book a consultation with someone to see if they can get hold of your dad, and then you'll know the things that he wants to say to you, and you'll have that, confirmation, but you'll also have that connection. Chris.
Leah says, I am struggling with some life challenges and feel lost. Can the spirits help and guide me? I have been having a lot of anxiety about this. The other day, I felt someone was patting on my shoulder. I turned around and no one was there. Does this mean someone is trying to tell me something?
I think, Leah, it means that someone's trying to let you know that you are not alone with this, that you do have people who are with you, who are close to you. Again, with this show, we only have a certain amount of time and so many people to talk to. So as much as I would like to sort of lay out all of your issues, lay out all of that stuff and help you, we don't have time on these shows. So again, I'm going to advise you, find a good medium and see if you can book a consultation and see what happens there. Chris.
Felicia says, thank you for your part on my journey. I'm starting a podcast on awareness. Do you have any advice?
Find good people, find good information. Make sure that, don't just gather anybody to go on your podcast because you want people to listen. Make sure that you believe in them and you believe in what they say, and trust your instincts with this. Follow your truth. And, if you start just having anybody on your podcast because either they're popular or because you just want to fill the spaces, that's not going to work. So be true to who you are. Have the people on with you who you trust, who you believe in, because here's the thing. People are very discerning. They know the truth when they hear it. People used to say to me all the time, how come you have such a huge following? How come this and that? People know when they hear the truth, when they hear somebody speaking the truth, something inside of every one of us recognizes it as a truth. So, follow that, follow your truth, be true to who you are, be true to the message that you want to convey. Chris.
Leslie says, I work at an animal shelter. Some of them live their whole lives there. When they die, where do they go, or do they still hang around the shelter?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing a great job there. I'm sure you get huge rewards, and I'm sure you see some awful things too. So I do believe that our pets, our loved ones, do go to that. Shall we call it doggy heaven? I think they go to. I mean, I've even seen geese. Tell a story about seeing geese who were the beloved pets of a farmer and his wife. And when the farmer who died came through to talk to his wife, he had a goose under each arm, and I'm looking at him thinking, I'm like, have I gone mad? Is that what I'm really seeing? It couldn't have been more of a absolute confirmation to her that her husband was here in the room with us, because I didn't really want to tell her, look, I've got this man who's carrying a goose under each arm. It makes me sound crazy. Well, wait, I am a little crazy, but it makes me sound thoroughly, really ridiculously crazy. Who on earth is going to believe that? It's like, I just saw Jesus on a plane. These weird things But as soon as I said, I got this man here, described him, he's got a goose under each arm, and I really didn't want to tell her because it made me sound crazy. But at the same time, he was insistent. And as soon as I said that, she burst into tears and said, "That's my husband." Because they, unbeknownst to me, they were farmers, and these two geese were their beloved pets who died, you know, somewhere at the same time as her husband. So, do animals go to wherever, doggy heaven? Do they continue their lives? Our beloved pets absolutely do, and I've seen my own, so I know that. I think what you're asking is those animals who don't have anyone who loves them, but the carers and the owners and the people who care for your animals in your shelter, they love them, they care for them. So anyway, that, that's as much as I can say about that. Chris.
So you're past 12 o'clock right now. Do you want to
Okay.
stop here or do you want any more?
Just one more.
All right. This is Hamali. Good morning, Rosemary. I have been studying Reiki healing for the last 11 years. Would you or Gray Eagle have any guidance to share, drawing more light and wondering whether to work on this full time?
I don't know. I can't speak to this. I know a lot of Reiki healers. I think some of them are wonderful, and I think some of them are not so wonderful. I do have to tell you that I totally disagree. And please don't be offended if you're a Reiki person. However, Reiki, there is this, I don't know what it is, a rule or a creed or whatever it is with Reiki. And I know this because I've been invited to many, many Reiki groups and big organizations and so on. And so I know that in Reiki, there is this belief system, I give to you and then you have to give something to me, whether it's a hug or whether it's a cake or whether it's some money or whatever it is. If I give to you and you give to me, there's this reciprocal thing that goes on, which I totally and absolutely 1000% disagree with. Here is, as a healer of many, many years, I give to you and then I give to you. Then I give to him or I give to her, and don't bother giving anything back to me. Thank you, because I don't need it. Because when I give to you and I give you my healing energy, I'm giving to myself also in that process, within that process. I don't need to be given back anything. And I think that any healer should never, ever want, whether it's accolades, whether it's praise, whether it's money, whether it's a cake, whatever it is. If you're going to give as a healer, then just give. Just give. You're giving something of yourself. You're giving something of that God force. This is a privilege. It is a privilege to be able to give healing to people. And that privilege in and of itself is more than enough to compensate anyone who wants to give as a healer. So that's my opinion. Other people have other opinions, but I personally teach my students, if you're going to give healing, you give it from your heart, you give it from your soul. And in doing that, you are connecting with that God force, you are connecting with that life force, you're connecting with that universal God force that is out there. What more do you want? Don't give me a cake, I don't want it. I have a connection with that God force, that purity and that incredible oneness with God as I'm giving healing. So, maybe you'd like to think about what it is that I'm saying, but I don't do the quid pro quo thing. I don't like to do the quid pro quo thing. If I am giving of my heart and I'm giving of my soul, boy, oh boy, what a privilege that is for me. So you may want to think about that. I've forgotten the question, actually. I've forgotten. There's always a lot to learn. However long you've been a healer in whatever form, there is always more to know. We know a thumbnail of what there, not even a thumbnail of what there is that is out there. And those of you who would like to learn healing in the way that I do it, we will be doing healing sessions, and again we will have the tutorials, and again we will be teaching in that way. I think that's it, Chris. I think we can end on that fine note. So I'd like to first of all say thank you to Gradle for being with us today. I'd like to say thank you to Chris, once again, a great job. I'd like to say thank you to all of you who have joined with us today, and remember my one-on-one not one-on-one, in person, should I say. My event is on the 19th of November. Excuse me. If you know of any way that we can advertise this, feel free to email and say, I can put some posters up for you, Rosemary, or we can do this for you, Rosemary. Where do you want us to, or if you are a writer, or if you can sort of promote it for us, please feel free. We'd love to have you help to do all of that stuff as well. Don't think you're just one person and your voice isn't important, because it is. Even that small voice, that one small voice, can make a difference in our world. And so, feel free, if you want to jump on the bandwagon and come and join me in helping us to do this. We would absolutely love it. You can email Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com and put in your subject line, whatever it is, and we'll get back to you as quickly and as soon as we can. Thank you for joining us. We shall be here next week. Chris and I, over the next few days, will be planning our tutorials. We'll be planning our healing sessions. We'll be doing a cracking up, hopefully. I'm not sure when, either at the end of this month, or we've only got 2 more weeks, but either at the end of this month or sort of sometime early in October. I've forgotten which month we're in for a minute. So watch out for that. Go to the website, www.rosemaryaltea.com. If you would like to subscribe, you'll get a percentage off of your ticket price. You'll also get a newsletter once a month. I promise you we won't inundate you with it all. In the meantime, everybody, thank you once again for joining us. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for letting me know what you've been up to. It's been a real privilege to know that. And please have a very, very wonderful, great rest of the day, and have a phenomenal and fabulous weekend, everybody.